Mike Bohn joined now by 2024 PFL 5 headliner Brendan Loughnane, who takes on Justin Gonzales June 28th. Brendan, we're gearing up for second half of the season here, man. How are you feeling a couple weeks out here?
Fantastic. Not looking forward to the 29-hour flight on Wednesday, Mike, but, we're getting there.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, you've done this multiple times now, right? And like this break in between the first half and the second half of the season, what do you think is like the most important thing for you to try to do like in between that window to, recover from the first fight, which I know is short, but then build into this one?
I like to tell everybody it's a marathon, not a sprint. People go crazy now in between. They're doing sprints and sparring hard and acting like it's a normal camp, but it's just not. This is just different. You've got to approach it different. And, I think with a 70% new roster this year, it really favors me.
How so? Just because the experience factor?
This is my fourth one. I remember my first one, even my second one. It's hard to figure this thing out. It's really difficult, especially when you've had a rough first fight. Trying to get your head back together for the second one, it's not easy at all. And I think it takes you 2 or 3 seasons even to get used to this thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. But for you, I guess, through all this process that you've done, is this like the best situation you've come in going to the second fight? Because considering the last one, less than 90 seconds, you didn't really take much damage.
Exactly. It doesn't always go like that, but the first one was absolutely perfect. This camp's been perfect. I'll be looking to put on another world-class performance and get myself out of there safe for the semis.
Yeah, and I mean, you have Justin, who kind of on the other side of that, he lost. He's in kind of a desperate situation. He needs like a first-round finish even to make the playoffs or get himself in like a good position. What does that do, I guess, to the game plan, to the expectations for someone like him? What on your side do you kind of do to prepare for an opponent like that who's in his situation?
Well, if you remember rightly, I was in the same position last year and ended up getting knocked out. I took my eye off the ball and thought I was already in the semis. So, I'll be making sure to not making that mistake again. And, I've really, really learned from that experience. And I've definitely not took my foot off the pedal or off the gas or off the ball. So I'll be looking forward to getting in there and, another safe, healthy camp. That's all that matters in this, really. I tell people all the time, as long as you can stay healthy, staying healthy is really difficult. 4 weight cuts, back to back, 4 fights, damage going into the next fight, all that, it all adds up. So with such a perfect first fight and such a perfect second camp, I'm excited to show the results.
Yeah, and people always talk about, the PFL format, the points, the season, all that stuff. I mean, you're in a position where I know you're not the type of fighter to go out there and fight safe or coast to a win or anything, but just winning this fight, you get into the playoffs and have a good position. Is that something you talk about like with your team or take into account knowing that no matter how you win this fight, you are in a good spot going into the playoffs?
No, that was the worst thing I could have ever done last year, was think about the playoffs. And if I come first, I fight this guy. If I come second, I fight it's all like, leave all that. This is a fight. Justin's on his last legs. He's like a wounded animal, dangerous. So, he's going to come for everything in this fight, and I'm prepared for it.
Yeah, it seems like, I guess, kind of the tone of this is just like lessons learned from last year, right? Like how important all that has been going into this.
Big time. Big time. I was thinking, right, okay, kind of play it safe with Jesus, feel him out. Nah. And then he was like, nah, I'm trying to take this million. I'm trying to feed my family. And that was the big difference maker in that fight. And I won't be making that mistake again.
Yeah. You ever been to South Dakota before?
Have you?
No, I've never been to one of those Bellator shows. We've had people who like live closer, so they've been out there many times for like the old kind of Bellator regime, but no, not personally.
Yeah, it wouldn't be top of my list, that's for sure. But it's work. Chicago was fun, I enjoyed it. South Dakota, who knows? I might absolutely love it, but let's see.
Yeah, I guess for you, you're like looking around there, are going to Dublin for Bellator. They were just in Newcastle. Are you like, damn, you couldn't have put me on one of these cards that's a little closer to home?
I remember we did London. We did a bit. I fought once in England in 14 fights. That's how. I would love to be fighting in England regular, but just the way this thing lays, I have to be in America the whole time. I think right now, Mike, I've fought in every single state in the US at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing to hang on your badge and to look back on when the career's over. So it could be worse, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you think this is going to be the last season you do, or are you open to more in the future?
I say that every single year,
I
and
know, that's fine.
they manage to talk me back in, don't they? Every time. This year was like, right, okay, I don't want to do it, and then it was like, well, if you don't do it, then maybe you might have to wait till like September for a fight. I was like, nah. I was like, I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait all that time to get on a card. So I took it, and thank God I did take it. I'm glad I did. I'm back in my routine. I believe I'm a tournament fighter now. I couldn't go back to that 1 a year, 2 a year shenanigans now. I'm a full blown tournament fighter.
Do they, when they're trying to convince you to be like, go back in, and you're maybe a little hesitant, what do they do to push it over the edge besides saying you might not fight for a while? Do they at least sweeten the pot for like fight by fight?
No. Same contract from last year, but it was the thought of being 34 and inactive. I was like, nah, there's not long left. So let's get as many in while we can, while we're healthy, while we're fit and strong. Let's go.
Yeah, that's fair for sure. As far as like kind of the other people in the season, have you seen anyone that you haven't fought yet that you're interested in out of this kind of new bracket, or that you kind of look forward to seeing maybe later in the season? Or are you not sure how this is all going to shake out?
Yeah, I mean, anything could happen right now. It was only me and Braga, I think, was it, who got the finishes, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
Yeah, so me and Braga are the only two with finishes. So this thing I don't know how this thing's going to play out, but last year, I think there was like a 10% chance that I couldn't go through even if I lost, and it happened. So, like, again, lessons learned.
Yeah, for sure. Have you noticed, I guess it's only been kind of the one fight in the season, but with the new kind of changes with Bellator coming in, some new staff behind the scenes who've come over from there, like, have you noticed anything different in how PFL has operated since this kind of merger that's happened, or has it seemed relatively the same to you?
I think the biggest thing that changed that I'm really happy about is USADA. I'm really glad USADA are involved now. Makes it a level playing field for everyone. Makes me feel a lot more easy about, you know what I mean? Like a lot. Don't know. It's just a level playing field, and it is now. Especially after what happened last year or the year before, whenever it was. So that's the biggest change in my eyes. Bringing over the new Bellator fighters. It's good because it's all freshened it up. Because at one stage, it was me, Movlead, and Chris Wade doing a round robin and Bubba for like 3 years. So it's nice to bring these new faces in.
Yeah, with the drug testing stuff, is it kind of, I mean, you hear the stories for the past like 7 years when UFC and USADA were involved. Is there a lot of early morning inconvenient wake up calls, or have they maybe figured out the stride better on like when they're coming to test you and things like that?
No, you know what, mate? It's been good. It's the first time I've ever had to deal with USADA because when I had the UFC or the one UFC fight, wasn't USADA, so I've never had to deal with them. But obviously, the testing was only commission testing for years. That's all I ever did in the PFL, and then they had the big thing in Vegas, which I'm glad it shook it right up. And now I can actually confidently go in there and be like, okay, everyone's on a level playing field here. So that puts my mind at ease, and yeah, I think it's a great thing for the sport. They've not been waking me up at 6 a.m. There's none of that stuff going on. But even if they did, I won't be mad about it because I know what they're doing it for at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And just one of the last things, do you feel like, and you're part of this could be one of the biggest years when all said and done for UK MMA? I mean, we have this huge card next month in Manchester for the UFC with Tom and Leon. A couple big names on that. I know Connor's comeback is being, pushed back. We don't know when that's going to happen, but yourself, just seems like anywhere you look in MMA, there's people from your part of the world doing a lot of great things. Do you think when we kind of look back, 2024 is going to be one of the years that UK MMA can really hang its hat on?
Yeah, for sure. And it's weird that you mentioned it. I was actually thinking about this before. The 4 champions, so me, Bisping, Leon, and Tom, are all from up north as well. So we all live in the same sort of like 2-hour radius.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. So there's a saying in England, and it is they make them different up north, and it's
Okay.
true.
All right, I like that one. Okay, I guess this last thing, any specific way you see this fight going, how you want to win? I know we kind of talked about all the different elements, but if this was just a fight with none of the outside factors attached, how do you kind of break it down and how do you win?
I don't know. I think Justin is a good fighter, solid all round. Not doesn't stand out in any particular area. Just a good all round fighter. But he's fighting for his life. He's fighting for that $1 million check. He's fighting to change his family's life. I know how serious that is now, and I know how much it means to people. And I've not took it lightly, and I'm looking forward to it.
Sure, man. Awesome. Well, appreciate the time, and you'll have to give us the post review of South Dakota.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Thanks, man. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Mike.